Hey, so to introduce myself, my name is Major Bottoms Jr. I'm a senior research consultant here at Levvel. I've been with the company for 5 years, leading back to the days when we were going by PayStream advisors. And I'm an expert in procure-to-pay software like Dooap, travel and expense management software, as well as electronic payment software. So one of the better people to be giving this presentation. And I actually designed the survey that a lot of this data comes from. So you might be asking yourself how we got this data. So we interviewed financial professionals at all levels of organizations in Q1 2021. A lot of the questions that we used are the same or similar to ones that we've asked in the past, just so that we can track trends across time. We make some small tweaks just to update it every year, but the integrity and the overall feeling of the survey stays the same year over year. We surveyed over 300 respondents operating in a number of different industries and at companies of all sizes. So when we're looking at a range of accounts payable solutions, really the best way to break it up is into 3 different tiers. Tier 3 is a completely manual process. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of organizations are going through. They're sorting through their inbox to deal with invoices, sending them to leadership for approval via email, or even walking it over to their desk. And as far as input of the invoice data into a software or their ERP, they're actually manually keying that in most of the time. So that's tier 3. Tier 2 consists of partial AP automation. So users might be utilizing an optical character recognition tool so they can scan the information from the invoice onto their ERP or onto their accounts payable management software or accounting software. But largely, it's far from an automated process. They're still using some level of manual input or a manual process involved in processing their invoices. The final tier is tier 1, and that's end-to-end AP automation. So a lot of the low-hanging fruit and a lot of the more tactical tasks are being automated, which frees up those users to handle more strategic tasks. Normally, it's a cloud-based tool, web-friendly, can be used on a number of different platforms, whether that's the computer, a mobile application. In addition, it offers some security in payments. So it's really just automating the entire accounts payable process from the moment you send out a purchase order to when you're actually sending over the payment to the supplier. And this is some of our in-house Levvel Research data. This is a way we can actually quantify the stuff that we were just talking about in terms of tier 1 and tier 3 and tier 2 types of tools. So everyone says that they're automated, or everyone says that they're using a tool. But in reality, when we look into the data, we see that only 31% are using a third-party automation software, which is more likely to fit into that tier 1 of end-to-end automation. That number has grown quite a bit over the years, but the most widely represented or the most commonly utilized software is going to be something like an ERP tool or something that's not specific to AP. So there's a wide range of solutions that are non-AP specific. It could be something very simple like Excel or spreadsheets, or it could even be just an accounting software. Because AP software offer differing levels of automation and all sorts of different experiences, what we've observed is that well over 50% of organizations that are using some sort of tool identified themselves as actually being pretty likely to switch their AP software in the next calendar year. Presumably, it would be a lot of companies that are upgrading from a tier 3 or a tier 2 experience to shoot for something that offers end-to-end automation like a tier 1 tool would offer. This is a relatively new trend that we've observed, and it's popped up in the last year or two. Some of it is definitely attributable to frustration with a lack of true automation offered by some of those tools. But we believe that the pandemic has actually supercharged and sped up this trend quite a bit. So at the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, many companies were forced to learn just how much their tools actually allowed them to operate in a fully remote environment. And if you're looking through emails without communicating with team members to the same extent as you would be if you were in the same location or even going into the office to retrieve and open up paper documents, you're going to see how unsustainable this process is. And it's going to expose your organization potentially to risk, things like duplicate payments and just overall delays in the process. So not only is this manual experience super frustrating, but it could also be a health risk, with CDC guidelines recommending, obviously, that people avoid intermingling in office environments and kind of just, obviously, social distance. So if we'll go to the next slide here, we can actually go to the next one after this. So here we see what the data actually says on why organizations would like to switch their tools. As you can see, there are a number of reasons. No one reason really dominates the conversation. The top 3 reasons that organizations are considering is because the software isn't cloud-based, it lacks advanced analytics capabilities, and it lacks strong security. But there are also a number of other reasons why these organizations would consider switching. Really, it comes down a lot to the basic functionality of the tool and how easy it is to use and how many steps of the AP process that it's truly automating. So now we're going to dive a little bit deeper to get into additional detail on some common themes that we detected across these different reasons for switching. So the first one that we see that we want to take a closer look at is poor quality customer service. So ERP-based tools and more dated tools generally are going to sometimes offer a pretty bad experience as far as customer service is concerned. AP probably isn't their main focus, and that requires a lot of finagling to even reach the correct party if you do reach out for customer service. And when money is on the line and there's going to be a delay potentially, this is kind of the last thing that you would want to experience. A third-party tool is going to typically offer a much better experience for customer service. Usually they have dedicated teams that are experienced in some outages or common problems with the solution. And just generally, they're going to be a bit more helpful than what we've seen from some more dated tools. They also are very upfront with their service offering as far as how quickly they typically resolve outages and how quickly they typically resolve just general issues and how quickly they can get you back up and running. So on-premise tools, the second reason that we're going to take a look at is that current software isn't cloud-based, right? I said this one a little bit earlier. We find that on-premise tools are usually harder to update. They're more difficult to operate as a remote team, and they can be less secure. So there's often a thought from government organizations that on-prem tools are safer and less risky than cloud ones. But this line of thinking is becoming less and less popular, as you see, since cloud-based tool, or the lack of it being a cloud-based tool, is one of the top reasons that we see why organizations are considering switching. And cloud-based tools do typically also scale better as an organization grows and as invoicing and volume demands increase. This kind of covers how advanced technologies improve the AP process. This is definitely one of the more recent trends that we've seen. And it's also linked to the experience of using a dated tool. Advanced third-party cloud-based tools are going to offer a more modern experience. So what a lot of organizations are looking for in their next tool is more advanced analytics and stronger security. And both of those things are super important right now during the pandemic. Advanced analytics that are powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning are going to give your organization the ability to better forecast financial health and ensure that the organization has smooth sailing in the future. And similarly, strong security. We've seen an uptick in instances of fraud during the pandemic. So that's something that has been increasing in importance for organizations that are shopping for another tool. Additionally, the software being difficult to use is another common theme that we've seen. And that's another one that advanced technology is going to empower. At the end of the day, you can have all of the bells and whistles and have a very advanced tool, but if it's not easy to use, organizations just we find that organizations are gonna sidestep it in favor of what they were doing in the past. So lacking fraud protection kind of goes along with strong security. But these are a few of the things that we've seen that we believe that a third-party cloud-based tool that offers a more advanced experience and leverages advanced technology can kind of solve. So the last reason we chose to highlight is the line of thinking that software is too expensive. And this kind of underscores the importance of discussing that pricing upfront with providers and getting to brass tacks and calculating a return on investment, either with the provider or just independently. And we've seen that a lot of providers actually offer ROI calculators right on their website. So one thing to remember on ROI whenever you're starting out is do not let the perfect be the enemy of good enough, right? So you don't want to get so bogged down in calculating exact numbers with invoice volumes and potential savings. What you really want to get to is a rough estimate that's going to give you a good starting point. So the first element of ROI that you should consider is getting an approximate cost of ownership for the tool. And we break those into two categories. So the first is upfront non-recurring costs, and that's going to be something like implementation fees. And then the second cost category that we have is recurring costs to license the software. And those are usually either volume or transaction based, or just based on how many users operate in the software. So that gives you a good idea of what the cost element's going to look like. And you'll calculate that year over year, with the first year being the most expensive as you're having some of those upfront costs, with that cost going down over time as you're only paying to license the software. So how the tool is gonna return investment is in time savings. So once you're automating those tasks, your department's going to operate more efficiently in terms of saving time spent processing invoices, making lower cost electronic payments, and even making it easier to obtain early payment discounts. And you're also going to decrease the time spent dealing with invoices and with errors and communicating back and forth with suppliers via email, because a lot of these tools tend to have supplier portals built in. So these time savings free up your AP employees to handle more strategic cost-saving tasks. And departments with automated AP are able to operate more efficiently, and therefore they're able to manage more invoices with fewer employees, meaning as organizations get bigger and expand, and presumably invoice volume goes up alongside that, they may not necessarily have to add more employees. So that's a little bit about pricing. We can go to the next couple of slides.
Good. So the package solution should cover these needs. Invoice receiving, whatever channel kind of you need for digitizing paper, emails, and EDI, for example. Then the ERP integration, and of course integration throughout the process. User-friendly web app where you have kind of like the control over control center for the process, and there you can see the coding, matching, workflows happening. Native mobile app for mobile approving, and then payments processing, of course, as electronic and automated as possible. And like we saw in the survey results, let's not forget how important knowledgeable onboarding and after that the support for users is. And speaking of which, one testimonial that I do want to show you is from Veseris. They were originally very far with the implementation project with another D365 embedded AP solution. But in the end, it was impossible to finish that project with the lack of process consulting in a complex situation. So when changing to a new D365 and dealing with a challenging transition project with a tight deadline, having a good team that can suggest best practices and alternative solutions to do things is pretty much priceless. Also, another example of a company that has already tried other D365 AP solutions, but some things were just not working out. In the A end, key things have been for example, the feature set, ease of use, and simple UI, and then again, easy integration and support. Good. So what we offer with Dooap is a good user experience and starting from the user-friendly web app and mobile app and reports, but also the easy integration, easy onboarding, and our reliable customer support team. With the onboarding, you can choose actually the level of collaboration you wish to have. So for anyone with experience in AP solutions and D365, this can almost be an independent implementation with a for example, a quick few hour training, or if it is a complex situation and you could benefit from an analysis on what AP processes would work the best, we're happy to support with that too. And now I want to show you a solution overview. To actually show the demo and just a kind of a quick recap on the elements that we offer with Dooap. Of course, everything starts from the invoice digitization, whatever the channels are that you wish to choose. If you want OCR, if you want capture as a service, that is the first decision that needs to be made. For example, e-invoice capabilities are something that we do support out of the box, and we are part of the Fed-led, Federal Reserve Bank-led e-invoicing project that is undergo, and there will be a market pilot starting next year. But kind of when those invoices arrive to Dooap, it starts then with kind of managing the workflows, seeing all the information that was captured, doing non-PO coding based on the account structures in Dynamics, doing PO matching, automating that with the three-way matching rules, for example, and everything that is happening is based on the master data from Dynamics. So we integrate seamlessly with Dynamics. We utilize the business logic there real time. For example, vendor master data, account structures, and currency calculations, and so forth. Power BI is used for reporting. And also there is a really neat archiving solutions where you're able to, for example, get an offline copy of all your invoice data. Good, but now I am going to open the desktop demo. And here I have the Dynamics D365, and I am going to navigate to my Dooap module. From here, from the Dooap module, I see the setup links. I also have the web app. I have the Power BI link, but I am gonna first now go to the web app. And it recognizes me as a user. It has been designed to work side by side with Dynamics. It is showing me the invoices that I have to process based on the role that I'm working on. I always have at least one invoice in the active invoices section, which is the invoice that the software is suggesting that I handle first. I do have here a previous invoices section too, where I'm able to pull information to the current invoice that I'm handling. For kind of clarity's sake, I am going to close that now because we're focusing on the active invoices and the upcoming invoices that we have in our queue. When I have this invoice here in the active section, I can see that invoice picture. I can see the workflow related. Based on the invoice type, I can see whether it has coding or whether it's, for example, PO matching. I have also multiple different kind of tools for the document handling. For example, am able to add attachments. I'm able to see a full audit trail of all the actions that has been done to the invoice, and I can move this invoice to another screen, so I can work side by side with two windows. I can print it. I can email it. I am able to also set it as a security invoice, meaning that if we have data that is sensitive, you're able to limit the visibility to the invoice picture. Good. The coding, like I said, it is connected to Dynamics. So every time I'm doing changes into the coding, it is able to validate that information based on the Dynamics accounting structure. We have machine learning that is suggesting the best coding based on all that information that there is on that invoice. And we have, for example, here machine learning for the workflow. So based on the information that I have in the coding, I, for example, have now a 99% chance that the workflow would look a bit different. And if I do any changes into the coding, that prediction might even change based on that. For example, now with this a bit more obscure selection of the coding, my suggestions just dropped. And I am able to select from there, the kind of based on the probability, the suggestion that machine learning is saying for my coding. And if I go back to that most common case of having a 99%, I'm pretty confident now with this workflow, with this coding, and I'm able to push this invoice forward in the workflow. And the idea is, of course, that AP would only get the invoices that there is something that they need to take a look at. And for example, here I do have a PO invoice. I have here the line level information of that matching. There isn't anything now currently that I do have to do for this invoice. So normally this would be something that would be pushed forward in the workflow. But just to show you what we are able to do when reconciling or doing the matching for invoices that have discrepancies, you're able to change the matching quantity. You're able to add multiple POs, multiple product receipts, change matching price, add miscellaneous charge codes. These also are following the miscellaneous charge codes that there is in Dynamics, but we have made the adding of the charges a bit more easy here in the Dooap side. But in normal situation, kind of AP wouldn't have to approve this, but whether kind of there is a three-way matching rule in the dynamic setups in the background, it doesn't have to stop for the approvers for the approval, and we are able to, for example, push or pull the information of the order or requester from the original PO to be the processor of this invoice if there would be a discrepancy. But same thing here again, as it doesn't have to now stop for those approvers, it will actually now flow directly to Dynamics, and I will get then the next invoice to be handled. Functionalities in the workflow, it can kind of the hierarchy, how it is determined. There is multiple possibilities how that can be set up. So you can have, for example, a kind of a position hierarchy from Dynamics as the basis of the workflow, or you can build, for example, a workflow hierarchy here in Dooap side. You can base that, for example, to a dimension. And what we have coming out in the next version is the ability to tie that also with the dimension owner from Dynamics. So basically, you're able to automate that with multiple different kind of methods. And of course, there is that purchase order related approval kind of approval pulling if you're already using a hierarchy with the purchase requisition, with the purchase orders, so that we're able to follow the same logic there. And of course, monetary limits, thresholds, and so on are available too. Good. In this situation, I'm happy with whatever selections I have. I could, for example, add new coding lines. I could split the existing coding. I could code directly to a project, but I'll just now push this invoice forward in the workflow for the approvers. And the approvers that I have here, I would be able to, as a AP, I can make changes to the workflow on the fly if I need to. It is flexible, and if you're not wanting to have any flexibility in the rights that AP have for making changes, you can also block that they are not able to do changes to the workflow. But visibility is really important. So, for example, as an AP function, if I want to go and see what the situation is for an approver, I can always go and impersonate a user and see what their approving situation currently is. So, jumping into Benjamin's shoes, I am now seeing what invoices there is in Benjamin's queue. I can add comments and ask questions that does Benjamin need help or clarity. After all, I see that Benjamin's invoices are quite old. Good. I'm going to stop the impersonation now. And one cool function that we also have is a substitute function where, for example, a substitute can be set for a kind of a limited time, or you can also set a substitute for a longer period. In that situation, an approver, a colleague, can do the same kind of impersonation when needed if you have distributed the substituting rights. And it is really kind of clear for those users as you have your own invoices in this main view, but you're similarly able to jump into the person's shoes that you're substituting and see their invoice history and be able to pull information from those old invoices. Good. For now, thinking that, okay, we have pushed a few invoices for approval. The next step then would actually be in approving those with the mobile app. And looking at the mobile app, how it looks like, it is for Apple and Android, and it is meant for approving both non-PO and PO invoices. It shows all the necessary information, and you can cycle through invoices and all that invoice data that there is. We have designed the app to show the necessary information that users need to be actually really able to approve invoices remotely. And for example, the ability to show previous invoices and the coding related to those. You can also change or add the coding in mobile, and it is validating the selections to D365 account structures, just like in the web app. And as a final thing, I want to show one of the best parts after I finish approving those invoices with my mobile. I want to show the analytics, and there we go. Dooap Analytics is a combination of dashboards and AP tools. So AP tools is something that one might use for day-to-day work, for cross-checking and reconciling, for example, and also the dashboards like the CFO dashboard and vendor analytics dashboard that I have here as an example. So these have been designed to give, These have been designed to give a kind of a good bird's eye view on that information what the CFO is, for example, interested in. To be able to see the kind of key figures, but then still able to, for example, drill through to all that data to kind of get into the core of things. For example, here in the average handling times, I can see that over the years we have come down very nicely with the average handling times. And if I want to drill even more deeper to see drill down there, took me a second. So to see, for example, the monthly figures, and to go even further for daily figures, I can see that fluctuation over time. But yes, what I really wanted to show is the vendor analytics. So the vendor analytics is a new report, and this really shows the ability to do analytics in how to improve the automation. So very often when we think about automation, we are kind of looking at what we can do and what is happening in our processes. But with the vendor analytics, we're also able to see what our vendors are doing and what could we improve with our vendors. Everything in this report is kind of multiple reports in one view. So with the tooltips, I'm able to get always better information on what those figures are, and I can always drill deeper, through to the actual data level of all these factors. For example, here to be able to see which are the vendors and how much kind of in money wise are we paying as checks. Is there something that we could do to improve that process, as we do have a few vendors that we're sending very big checks to? Or for example, we do have companies or vendors that have an immediate due date. Is there something that we could negotiate there? And also, I think one of the cool features is the ability to drill and examine kind of vendors with the workflow and so forth, and I'm able to see which companies again are the biggest vendors. And if I click on a company, I can see which kind of workflow presets we're using with that. Then this means like a workflow template. Who are the approvers? And clicking that workflow preset, I'm also able to see the approvers that there is related. And then I'm able to also, for example, see the approving times. So with this vendors invoices, I can see that Skylar's approving time is barely hours. It is really fast. AP does have an average handling time of 3.65 days for it. But after that, when AP has done their thing, Skylar is approving China resources land vendors invoices immediately. But then if we want to take a look at, for example, another vendor, so let's I'm going to randomly choose something else. So let's click on this. I can again see different kind of workflows, and then I'm able to see again Skylar. In this case, in another vendor's case, there is 23 days that Skylar is sitting on these invoices. So this kind of gets me thinking that maybe there is something in Schneider Electric invoices that repeatedly makes it so that Skylar has to do a lot of work to get those invoices approved. It means that, is there something that the vendor is not recording correctly, or is there always something wrong with the POs, for example, that requires extra work? Because I don't think that Skylar would otherwise just approve the other invoices immediately and then spend 23 days, over 23 days on another. That's just one example. There is a lot of different kind of reports in here, a lot of different kind of KPIs embedded into the graphs. And for example, here in the last one, I really like these kind of KPIs in the way that we're able to then spot those vendors that really take a lot of time. So why would, for example, with the vendor Chubb, why would it take average on 39 days to handle invoices when we know that the past year kind of this now is overall from since beginning times, but we know that this year we have been able to have an average handling time on all invoices less than 8 days. So what can we do with Chubb to improve those invoices so that we're able to improve our overall process? Also, kind of cool information that you can pull from here is vendor behavior. So for example, who are the vendors that are sending us invoices when they're almost already due? With the vendors that have the payment term immediate, I do understand that, but this is also reflecting those vendors where you should have a longer payment term, but they're sending invoices so late that it is already almost that due date in hand. And well, again, here there is a lot of KPIs that have been hidden, well, not hidden, but are easily available there when you hover over those, and hopefully you're able to get some more insight on why those figures are so. But okay, thank you. That was pretty much everything that I did have to show you. And again, huge apologies for the webinar, how it went earlier. I am really happy if you were able to watch this second recording, and I hope you got something of it, and maybe fill those gaps that we didn't provide with the first try. But thank you for watching, and hope to see you next time in our webinar. Bye-bye.